A few years ago, when people talked about artificial intelligence, it felt distant. Something abstract. Something you'd hear about in research labs or science fiction movies. Today, it's everywhere. It writes emails. It answers questions. It helps people code, study, and create content. And because of that, a lot of people have started to feel something strange. A mix of curiosity, excitement, and confusion. When you see a system respond in full sentences, explain complex ideas, and even sound confident, it's easy to assume one thing: this feels intelligent, and that feeling is important, because it's where the confusion begins. Most of us judge intelligence by output. If the answer looks smart, we assume the process behind it must be smart too. But that assumption doesn't always hold. Before we ask whether AI is intelligent, we need to understand what it is actually doing. Artificial intelligence, especially the large language models you see everywhere, is trained on enormous amounts of data. Books, articles, websites, conversations, code. Basically, a huge chunk of the internet. From all of this, it learns patterns. Not meaning. Not intention, patterns. It learns which words usually follow other words, which sentence structures appear in explanations, and which responses people tend to accept as correct. This is why AI can sound so convincing. It's not because it understands a topic in the way a human does, but because it has seen millions of examples of how humans talk about that topic. And this leads to a critical misunderstanding that many people have. AI does not understand what it says. It does not know if something is true or false. It does not care about being right. It predicts. Given an input like a question you ask it, it calculates the most statistically likely continuation. One word at a time. Think of it like this. A calculator can give you the correct result for a very complex equation, instantly. But we don't say the calculator understands mathematics. It's just performing a calculation based on rules it was given. AI is far more complex, of course, but the underlying principle is similar. There is computation, there is no awareness. This is where the difference between human intelligence and artificial intelligence becomes crystal clear. Humans think in terms of reasons, intentions, and goals. We ask why. We reflect on our mistakes. We change our minds based on new evidence or a different perspective. AI does none of that. When an AI makes a mistake, it doesn't realize it made one. It doesn't feel embarrassed or have a desire to correct itself for the sake of truth. It simply followed a probability path that happened to lead to a wrong answer. That's why it's much more accurate to say this. AI is not intelligence. It is a simulation of intelligence. It behaves like intelligence, it sounds like intelligence, but it is not the same thing, and this distinction matters more than most people realize. When we start treating AI as something that knows things, we stop questioning it, we start outsourcing our judgment. And that's where the real problems can begin. AI can be an extremely useful tool, but only if we understand its limits. It doesn't replace thinking. It supports thinking. It doesn't decide what matters. We do, so if there's one thing to take away from this video, it's this simple idea. AI is not thinking, it is predicting. And once you understand that fundamental difference, AI becomes much less mysterious and much more practical. If you found this breakdown useful and you enjoy clear, logical explanations of technology, consider subscribing to the channel. And if this video helped clarify something that was confusing for you before, leaving a like really helps support us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.